to Leitner. Puts it up.
You're listening to the Culture State Podcast.
Get ready. Woo!
Welcome back to another episode of the Culture State Podcast. I am Chris Lee.
And I'm Dennis Cox.
Hey, it was cool. So we wanted to have both Hardy Boys on.
Yeah.
And just to tell people about our creative process.
Yeah.
We always talk about who would be some of our dream guests for Culture State, who would make Culture State. And early on, we said we wanted the Hardy Boys.
Oh yeah. 100%.
I have people who I know who know them, to get to them, but I didn't want to
know some people.
But I didn't want to like use those immediately. I just kind of felt like if we sat back, the perfect moment will come to where, you don't have to use those particular favors at that moment. And AEW comes to town, AEW reaches out.
Yeah.
WWE is coming to town, WWE reaches out.
Imagine that.
And so we had Matt Hardy a few weeks ago. This week, Jeff Hardy, his brother.
Here's the thing, Chris. We didn't have to reach out to them. They want to be with us. Okay? That's the mindset. No. We don't.
It's real, though. It's real.
We're not going to go asking. We're not going to come begging. No. They came to us. Like, no. We want to be with you guys. Because we're all about putting the state of North Carolina on the map. And who better than Matt and Jeff Hardy in terms of pop culture and entertainment that put this state on the map, at least in the terms of the world of professional wrestling.
And honestly, that's what kind of makes it cool, though, if you think about it, because like literally every guest that we've had on here, we've gone out to ask them.
Yeah.
But now, like literally the Hardy Boys, it was their organizations, WWE and AEW, reaching out to us, which is freaking amazing. Like I still think it's like, wow, okay, is this real? Like, am I pinching myself to see if this has happened? So anyway, I grew up watching the Hardy Boys, like most people who are, around my age or a little bit younger, who watch pro wrestling, yourself included. The Hardys were just super influential. They were really cool. You wanted to be like them. It was, just two brothers that did all the cool moves and had the cool matches and just looked amazing at the same time. And then if you're from North Carolina, they were from North Carolina and they sounded like, your friend down the street. Exactly like your friends down the street. And that's the thing I thought was amazing about it.
I mean, there's a couple Carolina boys who worked in tobacco fields. That's exactly who they are, who they were growing up, which a lot of people in this state can relate to. It's exactly who they are. And just the fact that they are from just the small town of Cameron, when you're just Moore County, you drive through, you blink, you miss it, and just the fact that the talent that's just come out of that area, we talk about how, Kinston's, pumping out, basketball players and, NBA stars.
Moore County and pro wrestlers, man.
Moore County and pro wrestling. Because you look, Matt and Jeff Hardy, I believe, your old trader, Trevor Lee, a.k.a. Cameron Grimes, if I remember correctly.
Caprice Coleman, he's from Carthage, which is in Moore County. He was trained by Matt Hardy. I believe Shannon Moore from down there. Champaign. There's so many different people that's from down there.
Not far from theirs in Johnston County is Hurricane Shane Helms.
Yeah.
So there's that little cluster of the state right there. It's just produced some of the best wrestlers that have been known worldwide in the world of professional wrestling, whether it's been with WWE, WCW, other various promotions. Just the fact that they come from this just small area in this state, it's just so cool to think about.
So Jeff Hardy, I think, you think about the Hardy Boys in general, people love the Hardy Boys, but, no disrespect to Matt. I think Jeff Hardy, though, he's the guy that really kind of took most people's, by the heart. Like people love Jeff Hardy.
Yeah.
And it's interesting because Matt is the more outgoing personality. He's the one that's going to talk to you, and he's the one that is the more extroverted of the brothers. Mm-hmm. Jeff is more of the introvert. He doesn't really talk that much, but the face paint, the way he expresses himself, the dancing and all that, it really grabbed a lot of people's hearts. And he's the guy that a lot of pro wrestlers have mimicked themselves after. Some of my friends, I like to talk about and kind of compare wrestlers to rappers. And we're going to talk to Jeff Hardy about that. But I think another good comparison for the Hardy Boys would be the rap group Outkast, right?
Okay.
Big Boy is Matt Hardy,
Mm-hmm.
and Andre 3000 is Jeff Hardy.
Okay.
I've talked about that a lot with friends, and the reason why I think it's like that is because it's an amazing duo. Big Boy and Matt Hardy, they are what grounds the group. They are, they are very sound with their technique. And because their partner is so eccentric, some people think it's boring, but it's not really. Like they're there to ground it. They're there to give you the good meat. And then, you have the eccentric one who's going to add all the flash. They're simple, but they add some flash to it, which makes it pop. And that's Andre 3000, and that's Jeff Hardy. And I love watching the Hardy Boys. Hopefully we'll get a chance to see them together at some point, wrestle together. We'll see if it's going to be in WWE or elsewhere.
Yeah.
But hopefully we'll see them wrestle together again before it's all over.
Yeah, that's a great comparison. I never thought of it in terms of Outkast, with Big Boy and Andre 3000, the comparison between the two. But it is good when you have, congratulations. When you have someone that is eccentric, like you said, with Jeff Hardy, you do need the balance that comes with it, because if they're both just if they're both exactly the same, then you don't have any sort of dynamic when it comes to the two. And you actually see that. You're talking about their influence in the world of professional wrestling. If you look, when we had Matt Hardy on as part of AEW, if you look at one of their top tag teams, the Young Bucks, Matt and Nick Jackson, who have openly stated that the Hardys were direct influences on them getting into wrestling, their style of wrestling. It was a direct influence onto who they are.
Look at them and tell. They even kind of look like them, like just naturally.
Yeah, they very much do. But Matt Jackson is much more of the grounded, very good at promos, much more of the grounded wrestler. Nick Jackson,
the older brother.
The older brother, and Nick Jackson, the younger brother, a little bit more eccentric, a little bit more high flying and stuff. So yeah, it's very, very similar, and that's the influence that they've had.
Yeah. It's amazing to see. We had a shorter time with Jeff than what we had with Matt Hardy a few weeks ago. But if you want to hear the Matt Hardy interview, the older Matt Hardy, older brother Matt Hardy, go back a couple weeks ago. You'll hear that. But right now, coming up after this break, you'll hear Jeff Hardy. And now we can say that we've had the Hardy Boys on Culture State.
Yes.
After this break. WWE Raw, Monday Night Raw is coming to Raleigh on September the 20th. And one of the superstars I've always loved to watch since I was a kid is more than likely going to be there since he's on the Raw brand. His name is Jeff Hardy. And Jeff, I wanted to, not to make you feel old, but it's to give you some flowers. I remember I was talking to your brother about this a couple weeks back when he was on here. And I remember going to a show at Grimsley High School in Greensboro, North Carolina, where I'm from. In 1995, and Will-O the Wisp was on that show. And I found out a couple years after that, it was like, oh man, that was Jeff Hardy. And I didn't realize that I saw Jeff Hardy so young. So I've been literally watching you my entire life. And then of course I ended up training to be a pro wrestler at CWF Mid-Atlantic, and Trevor Lee was one of my trainers. And then there's the connection with you down there as well with Cameron, North Carolina. So literally there's been all kinds of connections. So it's glad to have you on this right now.
Oh, that's awesome. Thanks for having me. Yeah, it's amazing. We were around Trevor when he was a newborn baby, man. It's so crazy to see how great he's doing now. And speaking of Will-O, I was just talking with the guy that makes these masks and made them back then about he's such a awesome mask maker now to making this new Will-O mask we were talking about for a possibility of Will-O entering the scene once again before my career's over.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay. I think that would be pretty exciting for the fans to see.
Yeah, a little nugget drop there.
Yeah, there we go. It's going to happen.
So, Jeff, Raw's coming back to Raleigh at PNC Arena. I want to take back to earlier in your WWE career. One of the first TLC matches was at PNC Arena. It was a different name back then, but it was at PNC in Raleigh. What was it like showcasing the very first TLC match with you, your brother, Edge Christian, and the Dudleys, basically in your own backyard?
Yeah, it's just an hour north of where we grew up, man. And it was so cool because, again, that was another night that we actually brought something into reality that I just seen in my mind. And that was like two people hanging from those things that hold the titles. And me and Devon Dudley, I think that was the one. Yeah, we were hanging up there. And it was just such a memorable thing because I was all young and invincible up there and kicking him, trying to get him down, but he wasn't ready. He was, stop it, Jeff, stop it. And it was just such an amazing to see the people going crazy and so close to home. And yeah, and watching that back still, it's just, I'm so blessed to be able to have done everything I've done.
I want to know some of your favorite memories outside of like a match like that, where, people of course know that match, but some of your favorite memories that people may not have realized when it comes down to wrestling in North Carolina, maybe something on an independent scene, or maybe, a house show or something. What was one of your favorite memories from wrestling in the state of North Carolina?
Oh gosh, we've had all the we used to do these shows, and the promotion was called Omega that Matt pretty much started all on his own. Original something modern extreme grappling arts, but it was such a cool name, and we did so many cool shows. And like every time I would go out there as Jeff Hardy or Wolverine, with my face painted, but then I would come out there as the kind of in betweener heel as Willow. Man, all those nights were so special to me to go out there, be wrestling twice. And that's why Willow is so special to me now in my heart and mind, because he was my main thing back then, the main thing I did, but then I had the Jeff Hardy thing as well. But all those North Carolina matches with our ring and our promotion, doing those, it kind of made us who we are now. And we still hold on to our roots, where we came from, and we never forget that. So all of those are near and dear within my heart.
What makes professional wrestling just in the state of North Carolina as a whole so special?
Just being home and mainly like sleeping in your own bed, especially after Raleigh, man, driving back home and sleeping in your own bed, because when you're out on the road, man, it gets rough when you're gone so much. And now I have 2 daughters and a wife, it's even harder now, but luckily things aren't as crazy as they were back then. But yeah, just, man, sleeping in your own bed at night, you can't beat that. And just making North Carolina proud, man, that's always a good feeling.
I want to know about how the pandemic went for you, because, WWE, of course, for a long time was just kind of taping in Orlando or in Tampa, was on those types of days where you pretty much, at home 6 days a week, flying down really quick to do a quick show and coming back up. How was that for you? And how was it trying to stay in shape and trying to stay, sharp and motivated during that whole time where everything was pretty much shut down and you guys weren't on the road?
Yeah, the wildest thing, man, is like Matt was debuting in the other wrestling world, and I was coming back from knee surgery when I came back to WWE. And originally it was going to be in Detroit in front of like 20,000 people, but it was in Florida at the Performance Center in front of nobody, complete silence. And it was so strange. And then that evolved into the Thunderdome, which was crazy impressive in itself. But again, it was just super weird. But man, WWE don't mess around when they got to get through hard times. They get through them. They do whatever they have to do to put on a show each and every week. But I'd wrestled AJ Styles that first night in the Thunderdome and won the Intercontinental Championship for like the 5th time or whatever. But before we went out, I was like, man, I had the weirdest dream last night. We were having this great match for the IC title, but like there was 2,000 people watching us through Zoom. It was so strange, but that's actually how it was that night. It was just, I'm glad that I was a part of it, because it's now, a piece of history. But yeah, it's just incredible, man. And that's why it's so exciting now to be back in front of live audiences. I think I've been out there like 6 or 7 times now, and it's so fresh and new. And I'm sure the fans feel the same way. And it's so nice to feel that, natural adrenaline from them again. And I can't wait to feel that in Raleigh.
You talked about Will the Wisp potentially coming back at some point, but what's left for Jeff Hardy to accomplish as a pro wrestler? What do you have left on your bucket list that you want to knock off?
Definitely my number one dream match is Roman Reigns, and my number one title is to be the Universal Champion one time, before it's done. So yeah, that's kind of where I am with that. And I actually want to do a swanton off of an actual 20-foot ladder. I don't know if you know how big these 20-foot ladders are, but they're a real thing, and they are massive. And I totally believe it's possible to drag one of those out and put somebody through a table.
Wow. Okay. All right. So we're still going to take risks.
Yeah, for sure. Not as many, not as frequent, but
Yeah.
for sure they're going to be involved.
How at this point in your career, just the evolution of being in the professional wrestling business for as long as you've been in, how do you still continue to find ways to be creative and do something new, whether it's in the ring or with your character? How do you continue to be creative?
It's depth for me. It's with the paint. I mean, when I see an action figure that comes out in a certain design, I remember doing, and in the moment, I didn't think it was that great, but then that's what makes it all worthwhile. Is to just see that stuff. And like when I'm in the process of painting my face, most of the time I'm going, man, this sucks. I don't like this, but then 2 or 3 days later, I look back and I go, wow, that was pretty cool. That looked pretty good on TV. So that's, in my opinion, Steve Austin had his middle fingers and his beer, and The Rock was just incredibly charismatic on the mic. And I've got my face paint, and I owe that to the Ultimate Warrior and Sting. I mean, the Road Warriors, everybody who's done that in the past. That's why I am who I am today. And it's hard, man, to be unique and original because so much has been done. But that's my deal, man. I got that paint and I roll with it.
One thing I always thought was cool about you is not only just the face paint, but your artistic presentation all around. You had your music, the way that you kind of present yourself physically, the tattoos, just everything all together. And you could always tell that you really beat, you really marched to the beat of your own drum. And it was kind of cool. Just the little bit that I was in pro wrestling before television really took off for me, being able to be around you at the Omega show that was in Cameron, where you guys went against the Briscoes, kind of seeing you guys' creative process right there, at CWF, kind of seeing certain things happen there. And it's really like, Jeff Hardy is going to be Jeff Hardy, his own person. Where does all of this come from, and how do you get the confidence into, really being able to put your all into the things that you want to hear, the things that you want to see, the things that you want to, experience in wrestling, and being able to put that out there in the forefront?
Man, it's just so many people come up to me and say, man, I just want to thank you you really helped me to be unafraid of being myself. And that's always been my thing. I've just always wanted to be unique and kind of like, I've never been concerned about fitting in, more concerned about fitting out and just being, strange. And actually, speaking of normal, I mean, just even now, I'm 44 years old and still able to do this. It's definitely, I think it's got a lot to do with faith and spirituality, especially, our mother died at a young age, and my father just passed away a few months ago. Now my human creators are one now in the spiritual world. I think that's got a lot to do with it because I haven't done this on my own. There's something always that has been with me for sure, without a doubt. And my brother as well. It's just incredible. We're still able to do what we do out there in that ring. But yeah, man, being yourself is so paramount for life, as far as I'm concerned, man. When I feel like I have to do something that somebody wants me to do or be a certain way, I'm just always like, I'm going to do the opposite, and I'm glad that people understand that, especially when they thank me for inspiring them to do the same.
I don't know if you've ever heard this before, but a few of my friends, we've talked about this. We've said that Jeff Hardy is, the Lil Wayne of wrestling, where Lil Wayne kind of came out of nowhere and kind of got big and was the biggest wrestler at one point. And now it feels like all the rappers are looking like and wanting to be like Lil Wayne. It feels like there's a lot of wrestlers that want to look like and be like Jeff Hardy as well. Do you see that? Do you notice your influence on the pro wrestling world?
That's crazy cool you said that, because I've been doing a lot of like acoustic shows with my Carolina guitar player, and they've been going really well. And I've been doing this thing in between songs to where I just want to explain real quick of what I think I am, like who influenced me. But I'm genreless, I always say, but I think like Pearl Jam's my favorite band. So I think I'm kind of a mix of Eddie Vedder, Johnny Cash, and Lil Wayne. I've been saying that like so many times. Like I'm a little bit of all three of those guys. But yeah, man, it's so, I never knew how powerful it was until like just recently at these, meeting people and them just saying, man, yeah, you're a legend, man. When I hear the word GOAT, I'm like, no, man, that's crazy. But it's awesome to know that I've reached so many people without even knowing it.
Well, Dennis and I do a radio show on 99.9 The Fan in Raleigh. We got to get you on to do some live guitar if you ever want to do it one day.
Oh, that'd be great. Definitely we'll get your contacts, man. That'd be amazing.
Yeah, come on up to Raleigh. We'll definitely let you on for sure.
Oh,
Yeah.
sweet. Sounds great.
Yeah, that'd be fantastic. So, Jeff, you mentioned that you've been doing this for a long, long time. Have you thought about when this might be done? Like when you might be done in the ring, or you're just going to keep going until you've realized one day you're like, okay, I'm good. Like, what's the end? Do you have you figured
Yeah.
it out yet?
I don't know. I'm just seriously, the biggest thing I took away from the recovery world is like just living one day at a time and really trying to focus on that. It's easier said than done sometimes because it's hard not to think about the future, especially with kids and stressful things that actually are part of human life. But yeah, I don't know. I just from week to week, match to match, man. I still go in there like this could be my last match. Sometimes it's the little things that kill, man. It's the simplest things that hurt you bad. So yeah, I'm just I don't think about it. I just live day to day, week to week, match to match, and man, so far so great. I can't believe I feel this good 44 years into my life.
Well, WWE Raw coming to Raleigh September 20th. I know you're short on time, but fans, go ahead and get your tickets. They are available right now. You can see the legend, the GOAT, Jeff Hardy, right there live in Raleigh at PNC Arena. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank y'all so much, man.
We want to thank Mr. Jeff Hardy for joining us on the Culture State podcast. Can't wait to go to Raw with you next week, my man.
Yeah, man.
It's gonna be very fun. We've got some stuff in store. We're gonna kind of keep it a secret for now, but you're gonna hear
for the moment.
Yeah, you're gonna hear more from Dennis and I when it comes down to what happened at Monday Night Raw on September the 20th. Trust me, you're going to want to tune in. It's going to be on the next episode of the Culture State podcast.
Oh yeah. Make sure you definitely follow us on that. Follow us on Twitter and Instagram at Culture State Pod. We'll be posting stuff throughout there. Might even throw some stuff here on the 99.9 The Fan YouTube page, which you can watch all of our episodes if you haven't done so already. So there's a lot of places that you're going to find some little nuggets and behind the scenes stuff that we'll be privy to. I gave a little bit more information out there than what you did, Chris. Sorry if I gave away a little bit too much. But yeah, we're going to have a little bit more for you when it comes to this.
So what if we end up having like a whole like unplugged session with Jeff Hardy?
Yes.
Like just, we have this on this could be a whole episode of the Culture State podcast, just him just playing songs.
I'm 100%
How cool would that be?
Yes. I'm 100%. Actually what we should do, Chris, we should bring this up with Jeff next time we talk to him, is if he were to maybe like create a beat or something like that, and you and I come up with the lyrics to it. That way, put like a nice Culture State song together. Jeff Hardy. I'm just saying.
Or he could do the guitar. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. I could program the drums on my drum machine.
And I'll write lyrics.
Hey, we can make that happen. I think that'll be cool. We got to call it something cool. The Swantoners. Swanton Bombers.
Oh, I don't know how well that would go over.
No, we'll call ourselves the Swanton Bombers.
Okay. All right. That's all right. Well, it's a working title. We'll call it a working title.
We'll get to it. We can mess around with it. We can fiddle around with it.
Yeah.
But I'm definitely excited to see Raw coming up on next Monday in Raleigh. It's one of those things where I think since 1993, I've been to at least one wrestling event per calendar year.
Okay.
And that's something that I wanted to keep up. 2020, I just happened to be able to get one in before the pandemic in January of 2020 when SmackDown came to Greensboro.
Okay.
If it weren't for that, I wouldn't have had one in 2020. I went to a WWE house show in Charlotte a couple weeks ago. Of course, you went to the AEW show in Charlotte.
I did.
So now we'll get a chance to go to Raw and Raleigh together.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. The wrestling event that I caught last year before the pandemic was in January. New Japan Pro Wrestling came to Durham. They're at the Durham Armory, and that was an absolute blast because it was a lot of guys that I had only ever seen online. So we get to see so many different people I've only seen, through the internet. So that was an absolute blast of a time. I was supposed to watch NXT, but that obviously got canceled back. They were supposed to come to, I believe, Durham as well, actually, or some. I can't remember where exactly it was.
I know they were supposed to come to Greensboro, but they may have been doing a loop in North Carolina.
Yeah, They're stopping at a couple places, but that all got canceled due to the pandemic.
Mhm.
So anyway, I'm kind of like you. I like to at least get to one wrestling event a year, whether it's an independent show or, you know, a major promotion like WWE. It's there's nothing like wrestling live in person. Like at home can be very fun to watch because you have the different cuts of the camera angles. And if you have really good commentary, it adds to the match. But going to a live event, nothing like it in the world of wrestling.
My sister growing up, she always hated when I would watch pro wrestling. Whenever wrestling came in town, she was like, "Oh, can you get me a ticket?" She absolutely hated when I like,
Really?
"Oh, you watching wrestling? Oh my God, oh, this is so boring." But when wrestling came to town, she wanted to be there with me in person. And I mean, it's just one of those types of events. So if you've never been to a pro wrestling event and you're in the Raleigh area, or if you're just in North Carolina within a driving distance of Raleigh, trust me, it'll be worth the drive. It'll be live on television. And so it's going to look good. So tickets are available right now. Go to, I guess, I don't know. What is it? Ticketmaster? I don't know.
Yeah, Ticketmaster, WWE.
Something. WWE.
There are plenty of places to go find it. But
go to WWE's website.
Yeah, if you are going to the show, hit us up because, again, we're going to be there. We'd love to meet you. Hit us up. You can follow me at The Fan Rookie.
Yeah, follow me at Chris Lee TV. I was going to say we should maybe figure out a way to get with some WWE fans beforehand and eat some. You know, I don't know. Maybe meet at a bar or something. I don't know.
So get you some French fries, Chris.
Yeah, and a salad.
Hey, nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with that. We'll figure out
a nice vinaigrette.
Yeah,
because the ranch, you know, is just, you know, has dairy in it.
Yeah, ranch is also gross. So that's totally fine. Ranch is like mayonnaise.
Oh my God, everything is gross to you.
Well, ranch is like mayonnaise, and it's disgusting. Just gonna throw that out there right now.
It is, I guess it is, but I guess it's mayonnaise with pepper in it. So I think that makes it better for me. But, you know, the vegan version of that. Anyway, thank you guys for listening to the Culture State Podcast. We'll have more. Listen, you want to stay tuned for next week because next week we're going to have a mixed bag of a lot of different surprises for you. It's going to be a great show. Trust me on that.
Yeah.
You will hear it right here. Wherever you get all your podcasts, give us 5 stars, please. Thick 5 stars. 2 T's. I mean, 2 C's. But you could put 2 T's in there, too.
Put 2 T's there.
You can put 2 T's. Thick.
Yo, the
you hear that song?
Simple, B. It says,
I guess it's time for me to wrap it up. Yeah. Peace.
We out.
The Culture State Podcast, part of the Capital Broadcasting Podcast Network, with new shows coming out every Wednesday. Download and subscribe from wherever you get your podcasts, including the WRAL Sports Fan app.